Today's video is part of my skin cancer diagnosis series where I share your stories here on my channel because stories are powerful and they help us to feel less alone in this scary diagnosis. If you would like to submit your diagnosis story, you can email me using the email address right here on the screen. Today I have Paula's melanoma diagnosis story, and she got her diagnosis without finding a spot, which is unusual but not uncommon. I've shared stories here before where people have been diagnosed without having a primary melanoma spot on their body. Join me in my mission to prevent skin cancer by subscribing to this channel and sharing this video with a friend. This is Paula's story in her own words. First off, I'm a smoker and 44 years old. It all started with a cough. I had some phlegm come up with a slight pink discharge. Didn't think too much of it until a couple days later. Told my fiance, and he said I needed to go to the doctor and not play around. I said, okay, let me see if it happens again. 1 week later, it was a tiny bit of blood clot. I went to Better Med next day. Now, I'm not familiar with Better Med, but I'm assuming it is a doctor service. They took an x-ray because my lungs sounded clear, but I was a smoker. They called me as soon as they got the results and told me there was a mass and to go to the hospital immediately to get a CT scan. So I went to the hospital. Better Med called again to make sure I went. ER doctor said it was nodular, probably benign, but to follow up with the doctor, my primary, whenever I can. Whew, dodged a bullet. Over the weekend, I read over the paperwork that the size was 2.5. So I started Googling. Most benign are 0.4 millimeters. Most cancers are 3.0 millimeters. So I sent the paperwork to Better Med. They immediately told me to go to a pulmonary doctor, that yes, it could be cancer. So I went to a pulmonary doctor the next week. He said the size was alarming, but the features looked benign. He said, "You need surgery ASAP, and we will do a PET scan first." It lit up on the PET scan. A few weeks later, June 3rd, 2022, it was cancer they found. They did a lobectomy and 19 nodules removed. Confident it was stage 1 lung, was what they thought. 2 weeks later, the surgeon called and said, "Well, it's melanoma, and we weren't expecting that. You have lots of doctor's appointments, but we need to find the primary spot." 2 dermatologists, and no skin lesion primary site was found. The only lesion was a spot I had in 2015 that was removed, which I'm currently trying to find somebody to review those slides again to see if it could have been the primary. A few weeks later, I had dizziness spells. I asked the doctor if it was from my surgery. He said no. He scheduled an MRI for that following week. A couple of days later, Friday before July 4th, while driving, I felt weird and decided I needed to pull over. Ironically, I pulled over in a tanning bed parking lot. Managed to turn the car off. I tried to get a lifesaver candy out, but started breaking it instead. My brain told me I was having a seizure. Next memory I have, I'm home with a time lapse. I realized after Googling that it was a 3-mile trip to the tanning bed and back, 52 minutes in length time of memory time I had lost. I told my fiance to take me to the hospital. Next day, they did an MRI. Doctor came in and I had 13 tumors in my brain that were unoperable. Immediately started immunotherapy and gamma knife. I blocked out all calls that weekend, never cried, was in shock, and was calm. Everybody said I was so calm when telling them. I told them it's fine, I'm beating this. Currently, almost all the tumors are shrinking or stable. I'm having faith. Everything unfolded the way it needed to. For me to drive and get home safely, pull off in a tanning bed parking lot. These are my signs it's going to be all right. Thanks for letting me share my story. Paula. Paula, thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing your positivity through a traumatic diagnosis. I can't even imagine what you were going through with all the unknowns. I hope to stay in touch with you as well as you continue to fight this horrible, horrible cancer. If you have a word of encouragement for Paula, please leave that in the comment section down below. So many of you in this community have been through what she has been through, and you are also so very encouraging to me. I know that you will show her some love. Thank you, Paula. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.